I know. We are
We're,
matching.
we're both in red. That's awesome. That's really fun. Hi, friend.
How are you?
Oh, I haven't seen you in so long.
I know.
I
I
mean,
know.
like seeing you.
I
We
know.
just text.
Which is awesome. It's always very good to connect.
Well, I'll just start. This is the I Rock Knits podcast episode 169, maybe. And this is Chatting with Friends. This is my friend Suzanne. Welcome, Suzanne, to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Cori.
You have been a long time viewer of the podcast.
I have actually. I was thinking how I met you. I remember before I used to watch Megan from Stockinette Zombies, and I remember meeting her, and I remember when you were talking about your book, but I came to know who you were because of Ambah from the Yarn Hoarder. I remember
Yeah.
way back when Ambah said, I have this friend named Cori, and she started a podcast, and go
Yep.
check her out. And
Yeah.
I think that has a lot to be said for how people find each other. A welcome from a friend is how you find somebody. So that's how
Yeah. No. Yeah, absolutely. Because I have made a number of friends since starting the podcast. And Suzanne, you live in Indiana.
Uh-huh.
And so we are not friends locally to each other. So I should just make that clear to everyone, which is why we're on Zoom. But you came to Minneapolis. You had a friend who lives here, and you came to Minneapolis, and we got together for an afternoon, and we really connected. It was like a real connection. You are a kind-hearted soul. You are very supportive of me in many ways. You're a woman of faith, and so am I. And so we just had like the knitting, but we also had this just connection, and we text back and forth all the time. And but you travel quite a bit. You've been on the road quite a bit this spring
We have.
and the last year.
In general, yeah, we do like to travel. I have two kids, one who is a junior in college in California, and actually he's doing a summer internship in Minneapolis. So I'm hoping that that will bring me up and I can
Yep.
come and say hello again.
Yep, we can get
But
together.
we like to travel a lot. So this last year we had a good opportunity to we went to Bogota, Colombia. We went to Bangkok, Thailand. And we went to Ireland to visit my son when he was doing a study abroad program. So between that and just domestic travels, I have family in Southern California. I'm a lot on the run.
Yeah, you are.
So.
I have a friend in my knitting group, Hilka, who was on the podcast. She's the same way. They're always on the go. So today at knitting, I said, "Where have you been?" Because I figured we hadn't seen her in a couple of weeks. I figured she'd been somewhere. But yeah, your trip that you took to Thailand sounded amazing.
We had a good time. It's a
Yeah.
wonderful place. I recommend going. So
I
yeah.
don't think that that's a place that's on everybody's map to say that's where we're going to go, right?
No, I think you're right.
You know,
You're right.
what caused you to want to go there?
My husband and I really like to travel in spring. Over spring break is when we do a family trip, and we tend to go to a place. My preference is to go to a place where I'm not putting on more clothes, and I don't want to go into a cold place. But he likes to travel. We like our trip to start as soon as we leave. So traveling on a plane is as much fun as, the actual destination. And even though it was quite the journey to get from Indiana all the way to Bangkok and all the way back, we are kind of the persuasion that 5 days is better than no days. And if we wait for every moon to align, we'll never get my kids together to be able to do this. So we just jump on it when we can.
Yeah. 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 I think that's my hope, that as soon as if Ross ever decides to retire, he just doesn't like to take a week off in a row. He likes to do 3 or 4 days. I don't know what it is about that 5-day boat with weekends on both ends, that he just doesn't like to be away from home for that long and working and being away. I think it takes him longer to catch up and prepare to be gone, that he just is like, it's not worth it. But Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
hoping that we can take some longer trips. We have some places that we really want to go. Tell
Yeah.
me how you first started knitting, because I'm not sure I know.
Oh, well, that's a good question. So I just changed my monitor. So now hopefully I'll be looking directly at you and feel normal. My grandmother is the one who taught me how to knit. She actually taught me how to crochet first, which I'm really grateful for because I learned how to hold my yarn in my left hand. I'm right-handed. So I crocheted naturally. And then when I transitioned from crochet to knitting, I am a picker. Does that make me continental?
Yeah.
No, I'm a thrower. I'm sorry. I'm a picker.
Yeah.
It makes me
Yarn in the
continental.
left. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I think we knit the same. I think I've seen you knit. So we hold it over our left fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And I can knit English style. That was the other way. I can knit English style, but I'm not proficiently as fast. But I can do both. So if I ever do color work, I usually do one in each hand, but I'm not so
Right.
good at doing that either. So
No, yeah. When I teach beginners, I teach them how to throw. And I automatically, every time as I'm going around the table, will pick up and wrap that yarn in my left hand. And then I'm like, oh, they don't do it this way. Or I'll go to show them something and in like the beginner knitters group, and I'll pick it up and I'll be like, oh, let me put it in the other hand for you, because I know that that's how they visualize it. And some people can see, the difference. They can tell when I'm helping them. They can be like, oh, I get what you're doing, even though you have it in the other hand, but I feel bad. But I'm not as good at I didn't do right-handed throwing for a couple of years, maybe, before I learned left. But I think my tension is better with my left just because I practiced, right, for so many years that you're just better at it and just feels more natural and yeah, whatever. So, oh yeah, for sure. Do you have a local yarn store?
I do. My closest yarn store is called Skeins, and I can literally walk there from here. It's within 2 miles to my house. It's a beautiful store and bright and airy. And if you ever come through Newburgh, Indiana, please do check it out because they have a beautiful inventory of yarn and it's a really nice place, welcoming people.
And has it been there forever, like a long time, or?
So I moved here almost 17 years ago, and there was another store that it was called. Oh gosh, I can't think of what it's called right now. But it's the owner of that store retired, and the new owner, who is the owner of Sheepskeins, purchased the store from her. So it moved locations, and it's the place that it's in now is just so much bigger and airier and has better places for people to sit and knit. So I think that people really like the new space.
Yeah. Yeah. How, when you said we moved here 17 years ago, I'm like, that's interesting because we moved here like 18, 19 years ago, like about the same transition to a new town. And my uptown is, I don't know, a mile away. And I don't think of that as walkable.
Yeah.
That's the difference. It is walkable. I have walked uptown, but I just don't think of it that way because it's a neighborhood and we have to go down a hill onto a bike path to get. Otherwise, you have to go way up and around, which makes it in a huge hill, which makes it much further. But you're like, yeah, I could totally walk there 2 miles. And I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I wouldn't think of that as walkable with my knitting bag over my shoulder. But you're a big walker. You're a big hiker and walker. You like to take long walks and hikes, right?
Yeah, I do for sure. Yes, when I'm not knitting, I'm always happy when my husband and I jump in the car and go somewhere because I get to knit until I get there. And then I feel very happy trekking. We started hiking during COVID, and that really became something important to us. But generally speaking, we do between 10 to 15 miles at a time. I admitted my secret wish to him is that I want to hike a marathon distance in a single day. So we'll see if that happens. Maybe this summer.
So how long does 10 to 12 miles? I mean, I know terrain and all of that, but is that an all day truck? 10 to 12? It's not really, right? It's like a half.
Yeah, it does definitely depend on where we are, but some of our typical 10 miles take about 4.5 hours. We're not
Okay.
going for speed here. We're just going for movement.
No, right.
But a couple weekends ago we did an 18-mile hike, and that took us probably 7.5 hours. It was
Yeah.
quite a much harder
Yeah.
hike. A lot
Yeah.
of elevation change and stuff. So
Yeah, I know. I had a friend that I used to walk with at the dog park all the time, and hopefully I'll get her on the podcast. She comes to our knitting group intermittently, and she did the breast cancer walk, which is 20 miles a day for 3 days. And she is like a power walker. Like she like moves out. And I wasn't doing that wasn't even thinking about walking long distance at the time, but I know, you have all day to complete the 20 miles and then the next day you do it again. And I think she would say that they would finish hours ahead of some of the other people. And so then they had tons of time to recover and rest. Whereas the other people, right, who were just making it had to turn around much more quickly to get up the next day. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess you kind of do want to manage your time. But there were people who, they literally couldn't walk any faster than that. But I can't since I had my second knee replacement, I haven't walked with her, which was in 2018. So, because I went back to the dog park with them, and they're just so fast, and I was recovering, and I just couldn't get back up to that speed. And I just started walking with my dog and going later because I'm a night owl, and they're early morning, like they want to be there. They would come at 7:30 and I would come at 8 a lot of times, and they wanted to be there at 7, right? Like they wanted to come even earlier, and I'm like, come earlier, I'll just come later, right? Yeah. I can come at 10 and I'll be fine. So and I would love to get back to that. Mm-hmm. But I'm really finding that with all my new hip and my foot, I can't do every day that far. I wish I could. Ross is out there running every day, but not me. And I'm certainly not running. And he's at 5:30. So I know that there are probably spouses or wives or people out there that ride bike with next to their running husbands or running wives, but that isn't going to be me at 5:30 ever in the morning, because I'll have just gotten to bed. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had knitting group today, and I finally finished my little ribbed vest. So I put it on, and I went to knitting, and I said, do I look like Where's Waldo?
Oh, that's so cute. I love
in
that.
My red and white striped vest. This has been on the needles way too long. And it's cool here today because there's a breeze, but it's going to get to 70 something. And then this weekend, it's going to get to 80 finally. So we're really warming up. I thought, this is my last chance until fall. I'm wearing it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to wear it. What?
Which pattern is that?
This is by Minimi. It's, what is it called? Beginner Brioche Slipover.
Ooh.
So it's just a brioche. You go back and forth. It's got an interesting start because you lower the neckline, and this is a folded over neckline. And then I felt like it's pretty boxy. The shoulders were pretty broad. So I ran a piece of yarn out and back and cinched them in just a little bit so that they didn't stick out quite so far. And then, yeah, it's just a brioche stitch. So it's a blown yarn, so super lightweight. It doesn't weigh anything at all. And I was just looking for something to put under it. And then I put it on, and I'm like, well, I don't know about the Where's Waldo t-shirt underneath. But then at knitting, I said to my friend, I said, do you know Where's Waldo? Because she looked at me quizzically. And then I said, he's the guy that you find in the kids' picture books where there are all these things going on the page, and then you have to find the little kid with the little red and white striped shirt. And she was like, oh yes, she knew what I was talking about, but she didn't get the reference to my red and white striped shirt. So it's kind of funny. But anyway, yeah, it is by this Minimi. And I was at knitting today, and I asked the Judy across the table from me, I said, what are you knitting? What sweater is that? And she handed it over to me, and I think it was called Avalanche, something. Oh, I could be wrong. Anyway, and it was by Minimi, the same designer. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, that's like not someone that I had heard of before. And now, I've heard of her twice. So she goes by Minimi Knit Design. And this is a super bulky vest. I'll hold up the picture here. So,
Oh, that's super cute.
yeah, and it was very, I like brioche. One color is not my favorite. I like two color better because I think it's easier to read your stitches. But yeah, it was just kind of easy and fun. And it had been in a bag halfway done. And I was like, it's bulky, super bulky. Go finish it. It's not going to take you but like 2 nights. And that's all it took to finish it. So
it looks really cute. Is it cropped for you?
It is, but I think I'm going to block it a little bit longer. I don't think I can stand far enough away. Yeah, I think I'll block it. I didn't block it really too much before I wore it today because honestly, I just finished it last night. But I think I'll block it just a tad longer. My shirt hangs out underneath, which is fine, but I want them to be a little closer together. There's like a little too much. And then my friend said, oh, I think it looks darling that way. So it's fine. I just would like it a little longer because I have a little tummy still. I'm still working on that. So I'd like it to be lower than that.
It will be.
Will be. Oh yeah, for sure. Once I wet this, I was afraid that it might grow too much. I don't know. So I can't remember what. I'll have to look at my swatch and see what I wrote down. But let's talk about your favorite knits. What did you bring today?
Well, I brought quite a few things.
Lovely.
I'll just say that when I first started knitting, my grandmother taught me when I was about 13 years old, and I did some stuff then and crocheted, but I don't really remember what I made at that point other than like long scarves and stuff like that. And then there was a long period of time when I didn't do any knitting, but I lived in New York City, and that's when I think knitting kind of resurrected. And so there were a lot of knitting places there, and it started popping up, and I had friends that I would see knitting at different venues. And so I knit, one lady that I knew, she knit a lot of sweaters for her nieces. And when I was trying to get back into it, she suggested that I knit a sweater. So one of the first things that I knit when I came back was a sweater. And I brought, I actually went back to my, it's not necessarily one of my favorite things, but it is significant to me because it was an endeavor. And I remember specifically wearing it. It's much too big for me now, and it's not a color I would choose for myself. But I wore it successfully when I was trying to hide being pregnant when I was teaching, and nobody knew. So like that's how big it was. But anyway, it is this Yankee knitter design. And I have I don't have a page yet, but
that's great that you have the pattern still.
I know. And when I was trying to remember how and where, I have the receipt in here from where I bought it at School Products. It was called
School Products. I have been there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, me too. I went, and that's where I bought Lamb's Pride worsted.
Yep.
And so this sweater is made.
Was it on the second floor or third floor of a kind of more like an office building?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes. So this is my sweater.
Oh, wow.
And it is so big on me now. There's no way for me to stand up and show it to you, but
it looks like it's in great shape.
It is. It is. And I mean, there's no wear. There are no holes. I have had this. So I knit this in 2001. It's amazing. And
that's the beauty of a woolly wool.
Yeah.
People don't want to knit with woolly wool as much, and they last forever.
I know.
If you're going to make a classic sweater, you may as well use some classic wool.
I agree. So I made this. It took 8 skeins of Lamb's Pride worsted. It's so funny. I was like, I wonder what size. I still have my original pattern where I circled all the numbers. So I'm blown away that I found it and everything. But so I made a size 44. I can tell you that.
Well, it would fit me.
Yeah.
But don't send it because it's gray.
Yeah. It's actually brown.
Oh, it is?
Completely moved away from brown. It's like a cocoa butter brown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was my first thing because I knit it. I knit a garment for myself. It felt like I did a big thing. So that was my
Yeah.
first one. And then when I moved here, I gave, this is a funny story. I gave somebody one of those little Tykes houses that my kids were playing with in the backyard. They had outgrown it and I gave it to her. And she wouldn't just take it. She felt compelled to do something for me. So she was from Peru. And when she came back, she brought me a bag of DK weight yarn, alpaca, 100% alpaca. And I searched for something to make. And I remember thinking, I went to what was then a different yarn, my local yarn store then, and they helped me pick out this pattern. So I looked for it. I have not been able to find it on Ravelry, but I do have a project page and I will make sure that this is updated well. And I'm going to send you all my information so you can find it. But I made a cabled sweater, a jacket actually. And this is it.
Oh, wow.
It has bell sleeves.
Oh, fun.
And it's got a beautiful cable all up in the, like up the top of the bodice. And then kind of just like garters, a little bit of garter border and a garter at the bottom. But I'm really proud of this because I worked on this for probably close to 9 or 10 months. It was a very slow moving thing for me. But when I was done, I took the, I'm going to toot my own horn. I took the time. I made myself, these are faux buttons on the front. They're like little mother of pearl buttons. But on the back, I made buttons that I covered with fabric and they snap so that it works. And the sweater itself, I have to say, it is so soft and it is so warm. I mean, because alpaca is that way.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. Yes.
So
And you're cold all the time.
I am always cold. That shirt that says always cold, me 24/7, that's me. So anyway, I am really happy that I made this and I love it. I do wear it a couple times during the winter and it's been great. So, I need to go back and put that up. So I did that.
Yeah, no, that it's really, really pretty. And it's yarn from Peru. Like
Yeah.
that makes it really special, right?
And the
Is
fact
it kind of a purpley lavender?
it is, it's like a lilac color.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just my, like, I'm so happy to have made a sweater that today is still the same color I would choose if I could. And I didn't have any input on it. She just picked it out for me. So
Oh,
yeah, I did not know that was coming and I was really happy to have it. So, so then for a while I moved away from making kinds of garments and things. I have made a dress for myself. I knit a dress, a Guernsey dress. And, I will throw in it's not one of my favorite patterns, but it is a favorite for the accomplishment. I learned how to read charts in a knit along with a girlfriend doing a Brooklyn tweed Guernsey wrap. And the only directions were in charts. And so I learned how to knit back and forth reading a chart. I'm very proud of that. Away. But a couple years ago, I met some gals and I wanted to do an Advent swap. So we got together, a bunch of us, and each of us wrapped up yarn and we shared it. And at the end of each day in December, we opened up one. We had 10 grams that we worked with. And I wanted to do something that I would do deliberately each day, not so much that I would be working to the very end. So I have made 3 projects doing that over the last 4 years. So I'll show them to you because it turns out that because I'm always cold and I do keep my hair really short, I really like something squishy around my neck. So the first one I made is it's by Ambah O'Brien and it's a long skinny tube. It's knit on the bias and it's got lots of eyelets and it's called the Adventuring Scarf, Cowl, or Wrap. And I loved it because it was just 6 rows each, or six rounds each day. It was super easy. And I got it done in like half an hour, 40 minutes with knitting, and it's beautiful. And I wear this.
Can you hold it up close?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look at all the colors.
It's kind of like that when like less is more and more, like you cannot mess up this. Even if you put lots of colors in, it'll still all blend. So I love this and I wear it a lot with, it goes with everything. So I can wear it with a pink shirt or a black shirt, a green vest, a yellow vest. I could wear it with anything. So I
Yeah.
do love that. And then the next year I made another wrap where same idea. I wanted to do something long and skinny. This time I did, it's called the Round and Round Cowl by the Crazy Sock Lady.
Oh,
And
okay.
so it's, I'll show it going up and down and then I'll show it side to side. So it's basically a feather, like, is this feather and fan? No.
No, that's that zigzag.
Yeah. So
It
anyway,
increases and decreases on a center, stitch.
yeah. So you can see it just is like, it's nice and long and skinny. And I think again, it was like 6 rounds a day, which was perfect. It is the same, it's almost exactly the same length and the same width. And I love this. It's a different thing because it's not eyelets. And
Right.
so even though they're like, but they're the same. Well, they're really not to me.
No.
The
Yeah,
colors are
no.
completely different. And they shine in
one that is open air, right? And one is more firm fabric. So yeah.
Yeah. And so so then I took a break on the next year. I have 1 year that I hadn't done anything with. I have 1 year in reserve. Maybe I'll do Christmas in July. But I decided to do it's called Piqua and it's by Bonnie Dean. And this must be the feather and fan one. So again.
Yep.
And the interesting thing about this one is that it still was like 6 or 7, and I think it was like 6 rounds a day, but the change in the yarn, in the needle size makes it so long that when I was done, I actually put it on my torso to see if I could wear it as a top, and I could. So it's much
you could.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it made me think, okay, if I could knit a little bit each day, I could knit myself a tank in a month in fingering weight yarn. So I was like, oh, that's a good thing to think about.
Yeah. No, those are really nice to see because people are always wondering what to do with Advent.
Yeah.
Minis or, smaller scraps or whatever.
Exactly.
So that's really nice.
I do have a bundle that I keep on my Ravelry page, which I'm sure I'm so run knit on Ravelry, and I'm sure that Cori will put that up there. But
I will.
I just dump, like, every time I see something all year round that I think is a good for scrappy projects or advents, I always add it there because in November, that's a hard time to figure out what am I going to do with this.
Yeah.
So so then the other thing I brought, which is I took for a long time, I've wanted to knit a specific Hoagie Locatelli design. I bought special yarn from a company called a dyer named Trey Liz. I think, I'm not sure where she is, but she's over in Europe somewhere.
Yeah. Greece, I think.
I was going to say Greece, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I haven't seen her around for a while. I used to follow her. I wonder.
She's still flying.
I know, but I wonder if my how your Instagram stopped showing you people.
Right.
And it just dawned on me that I haven't seen something from her for a while come up in my feed. Yeah. If you stop liking somebody's picture, because you didn't see it, then all of a sudden the algorithm is not showing you. So I'll have to look that up, her up and yeah. Because I think she did a collaboration with Paula of Mayak a number of years ago. I don't know. I'll have to look. Anyway.
That might be true. But I remember, every year how Hoagie Locatelli has her
fall
in fall.
Yep.
I think I intended to do this particular sweater for several years and I just kept failing. And now, so this last year I had a come to Jesus moment with myself and said, we're going to make this happen. And I took it slowly. And I have, like big knitting sisters. That's what I call them. And one particular lady in my, one particular friend in my knitting group really knew how much I wanted the sweater to work. And she worked really hard with me to get it so that my gauge was right. And we met a lot along the way to make sure that things were working out. So I knit the Longline cardigan and I will, I'm going to show you the yarn. It's a beautiful gray. It's got
look at the speckles.
It doesn't have any sleeves. I'm going to put it on, but this is probably one of my most proud sweaters. And there's lots of pictures on my Ravelry page, but it has a nice big shawl. Let me see if I can.
Oh, sure does.
It has a nice big shawl collar and it wraps perfectly around the front. And on me, it comes between it probably comes about 4 inches above my knee. So it's long. And I used every bit of 4 full skeins of fingering weight yarn for it. So it took a long time.
Yeah.
And, it is for me the example of what patience and perseverance can get, So
is it a saddle shoulder that then opens up into fitted, or is it an inset sleeve?
Not inset, and like I did not have to sew anything in.
Okay. Yeah.
But so I'm actually trying to learn my sweater construction. I really like the way this fits me. And so I've been on a hunt
I recognize the style. So that is it. It's not a traditional saddle, but it has that piece and then it opens up to do the increases down around. And I've made maybe 2 like that, but I haven't written one that way because I haven't quite figured out the shaping and the fit. So of that, but that is probably one of my favorite sleeve fits as well.
Yeah.
They fit your shoulders, which causes sweaters to then not fall off, and they just fit better. Yeah.
Right.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
What yarn did you use?
It's Trey
Liz. Okay. But is it just her fingering?
Yeah, it was like a superwash fingering weight yarn.
Like a merino. Okay.
Yeah. And it's just such a beautiful yarn. It was like an effort too, because I did have to alternate skeins because it's hand dyed. So, and there was no way I was going to end up with something with big old blotches of colors where I changed.
No, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I feel like you're probably a process knitter. Or did you, because I mean, you wanted the product, but I feel like your soul is slow and methodical and thoughtful and kind and gentle and all the lovely things, right? And so it feels like you would like the process. I feel like I'm always like about the next thing, and I'm, a little more and this and that, and I'm always casting stuff on, and I just want that product. In this instant, you wanted the final product.
Right,
for sure.
Right.
And you did kind of on those cowls too. So do you categorize yourself as one or the other, process or product?
I would say that I swing both ways.
Yeah.
Like really hard. Like I either really want to get it knit, get it done, or I really want to learn and enjoy something. And I am willing to do some things like, do you remember Kirsten Kapoor?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I remember one time when I was newly knitting socks and she did a mystery cowl, and I was on board. That was back in the day when you read blogs and, that's how you found people. People were doing this thing. And I said, okay, I'll do this mystery knit along for this sock. And I remember sitting at Chuck E. Cheese while my kids were playing, trying to figure out how to do cables on the cuff of my sock. I would have never done that if I hadn't been roped in by the fellowship of a cowl.
Right.
And so in that case, it was like the triumph of, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to continue on. But then there are other times when, like, if I have a lot of yarn that's been given to me, because I am a person who loves scraps. Like, I think I was meant to be born in the Depression. How can we throw this away? We still have 2.5 yards. And so people often give me their scraps, and I love, love, love making things with that. But when it gets to be like, I feel I have too much, then I'm all about the product and how can I use this up? And I want the stuff. So that was a really good segue, because I'm going to share, my last couple things are things that I have made a lot of, or because I do like to do a lot of charity knitting. And so I make a lot of hats to donate. And
I know that about you.
Yeah. So the first thing I will share is that one of my other things, I've made 13 pairs of these. This is Joe's Perfect Slipper Sock.
Oh.
It has a little rolled edge, and it has essentially a fish lips kiss heel. Call it that. These are knit fingering held double. And so you could use DK, And I actually use the same style idea, and I knit your up north cabin socks.
Yep.
Same way, but that's how I kind of knew where to go to make them short for myself. So
Yeah.
I have literally knit 13 pairs of these, and I have given them to people. I have a couple pairs myself, but I love them.
What's on the top? What's the pattern, the stitch?
So I don't remember how it's written, but if you look at my project page, you'll see how I've done it. I have, I think I've done just a knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one across. And then the next row is knit.
Knit. So broken rib.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the words.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what that's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can show it this way so you can see.
Oh yeah, there we go. Now we can see. Yeah, perfect.
So
perfect. See, look at you're going to be a podcaster.
It is a bizarre feeling to find where the camera is and to be able to.
Very hard. I'm struggling because I really want to look at you, and you're a little offset for me because of the way I set my iPad up. It's not you, because my camera's over here and I have to set my iPad over so that I look, but I have to see what I'm showing. So I often am not looking, and people, only a couple times have people commented, and I'm like, you know what? I'm doing the best I can here. Like, yeah. I have a sign that I tape on it that says, look here, Cori. And I still have to look over at the picture to see where to hold it. And then sometimes you still, at first I would hold it up wrong, right? I'd be like over here and it wasn't in the right spot. Yeah. So there's a little bit of a learning curve, but absolutely, you're still only talking to an iPad. Well, yeah. In my case, I'm still just talking to an iPad and looking at the rest of my room. So, you know, the people I don't have like a professional camera set up here, or, you know, I just put yarn in my hutch.
Right? I know.
Like, it stays there. I don't take it down. It's just there all the time. People walk into my house and they're like, oh, there's yarn everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, because I have it in jars, in jugs, you'll have to come to my house because I have my bag tree hanging there. I have it out. Like it is decor.
Yeah, as it should be. It is. We pay for our art, so why not let us, enjoy it? So from here, you'll have to put in pictures, but
yeah, no problem.
So in part of what I like to do in like my charity knitting is just knit a hat, and I don't always worry about gauge, of course, because it's a hat for somebody and somebody's head will fit it. But so I have made a number of hats multiple times, and I went to see which ones I had probably knit the most. So one I really like is a Sagamore hat by Jennifer Lassonde. And that is knit in Sagamore Flyover hat. It's knit in like a worsted or a bulky.
I think I know her hat. I'm going to look it up, but yeah.
It's really easy. It's a beanie style hat. It's got ribbing at the bottom. And then I think it's a broken rib.
And Jen, she's so cute.
Mm-hmm.
She's such a cutie patootie.
Yes, she is.
So there it is.
Yes.
So that's when you like to make for charity?
I do like to make that one for charity because I think it's really
it's warm. A $5 pattern and it's bulky weight using a size 7 and 9. Perfect.
Yeah, it goes quickly. Also, when Stephanie Lotvin's pattern called No Worries came out, I think it's also a bulky hat. And bulky or super bulky. I think I knit that on I'm a loose knitter, but I think I knitted on 9s.
Okay. Do you then just use scraps for all these pretty much?
Sometimes I do. But so I'll use whatever people give me. Yeah. I really like that design.
Yeah, that's cute. I'm going to put both of those in that's a $5 hat pattern too. And that one's bulky as well. Right. Here, this shows a little bit better, the stitch.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's cute.
So I think I've made at least 9 of those.
Wow.
Quite a few, 7 or 9 of them, quite a few. But yeah, generally speaking, I think I'd come to those because I had a bunch of worsted weight. Somebody gave me a bunch of lamb's pride and I didn't know what to do with it. And so I started just holding it together and like going forward.
So do you have a charity knitting group? Like, is there a part of a group that do people at the yarn shop knit for charity and get together, or somebody at your church like that, or no?
Well, I do belong to a couple of groups on Ravelry where there's a group that collects for children, and basically they'll collect from really young all the way to like an adult size head. And it doesn't matter what the fiber is. They're just putting warm on heads.
Yeah.
So I've knit, oftentimes I don't have a destination and then I'm looking for a place. And so I have a box upstairs where I just have a bunch of things. It's like, okay, when they start calling for these, I can give them to
I'll
them.
have it. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
wish
do
I had
too.
a more local place that I could just knit them and donate them, because it is nice to have it go to your own community and not to spend shipping. And I haven't figured.
Does your hospital not do baby? I mean, I know you have a lot of wool, but does the hospital not collect baby hats? I mean, most of the hospitals in the cities here will take baby hats, but they have to be acrylic or superwash, right?
Right. I think that's generally the way. Actually, I just talked with somebody in our NICU this week, and she said they had tons of hats.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, good. Because I had been I went on a preemie hat kick because I have really good friends that I knit with who are NICU nurses. And so it was really easy for me. I had an automatic venue, like they would take them.
Yeah.
But now that I kind of know they're gutted with,
yeah.
Not gutted, but is that the right word?
Well, they have a glut.
Glut, yeah, they
have a glut.
They have a glut.
But yeah, I mean, you want your stuff to go somewhere where it's not just sitting in a box, right?
Yeah. So that's kind of why I felt. I think it was Barron County in Kentucky, and I think that they're a pretty needy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that felt good. And then there, as to round out the hats, I looked up. I happen to have knit this particular person, her basic beginner's Aran hat. I have made 25 of those.
Oh my Lord.
25. And I love that pattern because I hold three strands of fingering together. Yep. And I will helical knit them. That is one of my favorite ways to use scrappy yarn.
Yes.
So
if you don't know, there is a helical hat out there. Is it called Helix? The Helix hat, maybe? But if you don't know how to do helical knitting, you can look it up on YouTube. But it is a really good way to use up scraps and then just be able to continue on wherever you leave off. So you don't have a seam running up the end. I will show this is the hat that I teach in my beginning knitting classes. And that's why I wrote it up as a pattern, because other people now have used it in their beginning knitting classes. And so they're just, it's just a basic ribbed pattern, brim, and then plain stockinette, and then just kind of 2 inches of decreases at the top and a pom-pom direction. Like, it's just what I use. And then when other yarn stores need one, I sell it to people for $1. So if you're going to teach beginning knitting, or if a yarn store is going to teach it, they can just get the pattern for $1. And it kind of helps me cover my expense of putting the pattern out. But and then if you're just using it for yourself, and then it's just like a $6 pattern or whatever. But yeah,
it was a great $6. And when I send you my notes, I pulled up a search of just your hats. My hats look nothing like that because they are so scrappy. Right. And I love that they're really colorful. And I'm like, wow, I forgot about that one. Look at that. And I've used mohair in them. I've completely changed whatever they were starting to be. And it was great fun. And so whenever there's, they just.
Oh yeah. And this hat, you could put any textured stitch pattern on, So when some of my beginners make it for the second time, they want to know how to make a stripe, but they don't know how to change to another color, right? They've never learned how to change to another color. And then you say, well, you just start knitting with the next color, and they don't even understand that concept, right? They're like, what do you mean? So they will make them. And then once someone starts striping, then everyone is like, oh, I want a striped one, because it's just a very basic hat. But I do like that hat pattern for people because it's a checklist pattern. Mm-hmm. So that they can keep track of where they're at. And especially for beginners, when they don't know where they left off, and they can't count how many rows of ribbing they've done because they don't know how to count the V's yet. And
Right.
so they have to, having the checklist really helps for someone who's a beginner. So if there are people out there that are teaching kids to knit or whatever, for kids too, they like knowing that they only have to do one row today and they can check it off, right? And it makes it a little less cumbersome that, you have to do 10 times around, because that's just too long for a kid, young kid to keep, concentration on something. So, well, thank you for that. That was kind of nice. I mean, I knew you had knit a lot because you used to send me pictures of them, I think. You showed me what they turned out like. So I knew that.
I was surprised I had knit that many, to be honest, but it is one of my favorite, like, I need to cast something on. I'm going to go to Cori's hat. I do it a lot. And then the last thing I brought which is something that is near and dear to my heart, is I've been knitting the mother bears for quite some time. And so I haven't
knit a mother bear, well, probably since I started designing. Oh, that just brings back memories.
Yeah. So I will say that I knit probably 12 or 15 of them where I literally sent them to Minneapolis to be sent away. So the background is that the Mother Bear Project is a group that collects bears that are knitted and crocheted, and they send them over to Africa for children who've been affected by HIV. And you knit a bear by a specific pattern, which if you would like, you have to mail, like it's old school. It comes in the mail. And it's a really inexpensive $4 pattern, I think. Maybe it's gone up to $5, I don't know. And then every time you finish a bear, when you're ready to send them, you send them to Minneapolis with bear fare, which is $4. And then they take care of packaging them up and sending them over. And every once in a while, they publish pictures of the bears. And so sometimes you can find your bear with a kid. And that's really
with a kid.
Yeah, with a kiddo. So I knit a bunch like that. And then I got bared out. And I was like, I'm done doing bears for a while. And I got tired of sending them. So I have actually been still making them because every now and then I feel this desire to make a bear.
Yes.
And what I've decided to do is I have a friend here who volunteers with it's called Isaiah 117. And it's a in-between place for children who are they're being taken from their parents and they're in transition to a fostering situation. So who doesn't need a lovey?
Yes.
So I am now making a trio. Let's see if you can see this. This is my latest one. I have 3 of them.
So cute.
So I'm putting flowers on them, and they have little skirts, and they have little, like they can be boy bears or girl bears. And what I want to say is that these are really hard for me because I tend to be pretty particular about making things. I want them to look right, and it has to be perfect. And these have been a great example in doing from my heart and not stressing out about stuff. And like, okay, bears are like people. We come in all different shapes and sizes. And I've learned
one leg is a little lumpier than the other. Like, I get it. I totally get what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I can look at when you go on Ravelry, and I love Ravelry and use it quite a bit. And I love looking at the other projects, and I can see some people who really, really enjoy making their bear look like like it came out of Mattel, like it's like really, really nice looking bear. It's got all these fancy details. Mine are kind of bare bones bears, and my bear is as loved as the other one. And I don't compare myself. I think that's their jam. That is their talent. That is not my talent. Not what I want to spend my energy on.
Right. Absolutely. Because you can probably produce more bears than they are doing, because they're probably taking, meticulous time and energy or whatever. But and that's the same. I mean, that's just the whole concept of give a kid a cardboard box, right? Like, they will play with a cardboard box as much or more than the Lego set or whatever it is in the moment. Like, they'll love that little bear as much as any other doll that they might have gotten that had a fancier dress on it, especially if it's a Snuggie, right? Like, if it's like something that they can really snuggle up to and isn't like a plastic doll or,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Plus you can use scraps on those.
And I have used
Yeah. You can make little overalls or a little shirt or not. You don't have to.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of my
And they do
bears
have separate patterns, crochet and knit.
exactly. And there are actually a couple other sources. Like there's one book that I think it's called Knitting for Peace, and the pattern is in there, but it's flat, so you have to seam that one up. So you can.
They used to all be flat back in the day, right? They were all flat.
I know, but yeah, so you can knit it in the round, knit it in the or crochet or knit or crochet flat or in the round, and
Yeah.
either way. But if you do send directly to Mother Bear, they are very specific about the height maximum because they're packing a certain number in a box, and so they want to make sure that's my promo for Mother Bear, like my information PSA.
That's awesome because I've been having friends on since October and we haven't talked about that. And we haven't, not one thing that you showed today it hasn't been a duplicate, which I think that's why I'm doing this, right? So that we see other people's stuff from different parts of the country. Like I want my friend in Arizona to come on because I want to see, and she's also an introvert and she's like, I don't know. Right?
Mary?
Yes.
Oh, I know Mary from the boards and things. Oh, Mary, you can do it. You can do it.
So much for charity. And I would love to talk about her hospital and her charity, but like they knit different stuff. They're in Arizona, right? And so I want a broad spectrum of people from different parts of the, because when I first started, I asked the first several friends and we had all knit the lakeside, wrap, and we all love the yarn and we all brought it as one of our favorite knits, but we don't need to see it 3 times, right? So I really do want it to just be like low key. And I eventually will probably ask some podcast viewers from different parts of the country and different parts of the world if they'd be willing to Zoom and just share, their 5 or 10 favorite knits, because I find it really inspirational. I recorded with Amy Pelletier of the Darn It Anyway on Tuesday. And so I recorded with her and I put 2 new shawls in my queue that I had never seen before. And they've been in their shop and she said she wears hers all the time. And I'm like, how did I not ever see this? It's so nice. Right. Yeah. So it is also motivating for me and not just listening to myself talk, because I did that for 5 years and I'm just over it. So it's either have some friends that are willing to do it or my podcast is going to be, I begged my husband last week and I'm like, would you come on the podcast? He's like, absolutely not. We could talk about, we are not going to do that. He's like, well, I do not knit. I don't know anything about knit. I said, okay, I get it. But yeah, I had to, it was just kind of funny. I said, they don't have anybody for this weekend. And now I have friends set up for the next 3 months, but I just had a glitch in this timing for this weekend. So anyway, I like your curtains. You have my colors in your curtains, I think. I do, but you want to know something funny? I flipped my curtain because I didn't know if it would be distracting. That's the back of my curtain. Well, if you would really like the front of the curtain. Yeah, the front of the curtain is this. Oh, yes, I would really love the front of the curtain. Yeah. But that was a good idea. I never would have thought of that, to like flip it so it was less bright on the camera. Yeah. What a good idea. Have you done that for other Zoom calls that you've had? No, it's the first time. And actually, I'm going to tell all my stories. I have a quilt wall right off to the side and I have a quilt up there. And I thought, I need a place with a Zoom backdrop. I need, I wish I had an accordion or something that made me look more official instead of, I was whatever. So I first put the quilt up there. I literally took the bar with the quilt on it, flipped it over and put it behind me. You would have seen daisies. But I was like, I think this isn't going to work. So then I was like, hey, what if I just do this? And so it seems to have worked. Yeah, no, it worked great. Yeah, really good. I mean, I don't care what people have in their background, but sometimes when they're in their bedroom, it feels a little personal to me, right? Like when I'm talking to someone and they're in their own bedroom and I can see like their dresser and their closet and their shoes on the floor. And I'm just like, oh, but I don't like it when people use the backgrounds that are fake, right? Because when they move, sometimes the background it gets a little glitchy. And I understand that they're just trying to hide what they have, right? But
Yeah.
I don't like my background in my office. And what it had was a picture of Kylie, a big picture in a frame of Kylie from when she was younger, and did some modeling. But all that ever showed was like the bottom half of it, right? And so I'd be teaching Zoom classes, and finally I'm like, I got to change out that picture completely, because it just looks, it's just the bottom half of her body. There's no head. Her arms are kind of showing. So I totally get it, right? So I put a picture of an alpaca up in there, like a bright colored alpaca. And
That works well.
it does, but we share that office, and my husband gets a little tired of he doesn't ever say anything, but I know he's like, really? Because my license plate says knitter, and I got yarn balls on the back of my truck, and he drives it a lot. He drives my truck a lot. I'm sure he's had a woman honk at him and then gotten up and been like, oh, you're the knitter? Instead of when he's driving and I'm knitting, sometimes men will honk, and the woman in the passenger seat will hold up her knitting as they go by us, right? And then Ross will be like, it's a knitter, and then I'll hold up my knitting. So that has happened. So I'm sure it's happened to him when I'm not in the car, and he's probably not loving that idea, because the office has a pink chair in it now, and white sheer curtains with pink pom-poms and orange accessories. And
Yeah.
he is officing upstairs, but he just has a table and his 2 monitors. So his credenza is down here because we both got new credenzas. So yeah, I'm sure he's like, this is not my office. I just rent it from Cori.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I love it. Those curtains are like totally my colors, red and orange and pink and yellow, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is your house covered in color? Do you have a lot of color as accents?
I'm a lazy decorator, so yes, there is color because it was here when we got here, but probably not. Like if I had my druthers, our kitchen is in kind of a maroon color, and I would change it out and be lighter and brighter, because I would like to I respond well to light, and it's a little dark in here for me, but it's what it is, and it's on our list of things to do, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, no, I get that. Isn't there always a list? I told him he had to paint that kitchen wall before I had company this weekend, because it's Shepherd's Harvest this weekend. Oh. And so I have 11 knitters coming tomorrow to knit for the day, off and on, different people coming at different times. And then we'll go over to Shepherd's Harvest. But he had touched up the wall in the kitchen, had some marks on it, and it wasn't the right color paint. And it had been that way with it was close. So he did paint that wall for me. But I really do want the whole kitchen, like all the way around. But kitchens and bathrooms are hard.
Yes,
that's a lot of
taping
and taping. Yeah. No thanks. And we have a painter dude, but I think paint color is also hard. Like picking on a little swatch and knowing whether or not it's going to be nice. Okay. Do you have something else to show, or is that your table?
I've showed you everything that I have brought to say.
Awesome. I really appreciate this. You did an amazing job for being someone who really was like, I'm not super comfortable doing this. But
I was actually being facetious, but of course, facetious tone doesn't come across in a text all the time. I really had no problem.
Okay. Nothing comes across in a text, right? Like I hate that, which is why I'm such a huge Marco Polo fan, because I'm so expressive in what I say. I don't know. You can try to be funny and it can fall really like flat or sarcastic, and you're not trying to be that way, right? So
no, not at all. No, I actually was really joking with you. I was a little bit shy about, I didn't tell anybody I'm doing this. So hi friends who watch you. No,
because we should talk about that. You are an editor on Ravelry for Jen, right? Don't you do a lot of?
Yes, I am a moderator for Jen. And I think I'm a moderator on your board too.
Yes, you are, for sure.
But no,
But Jen's is a much bigger job, because when she does Splash Pad Party and Pigskin in the fall, like she has tons of people.
There's a lot going on in those. Yeah.
Lots. And you're in there encouraging and answering questions and telling people, you know, if they have something going on or whatever, you try to read them. You try to keep up with.
I try to keep up for sure. And I really enjoy being active on Ravelry because Ravelry is more important to me than Facebook. And I mean, I'm on Ravelry all the time. I love Ravelry and I like to use it as a resource it is. I like to learn how to do more things. I really, really like to teach people how to use it because my brain is faulty, but my Ravelry is strong. I
couldn't harp on that more when I teach my classes and stuff. I'm like, get your stash on Ravelry, get your projects on Ravelry. You know, we should be able to say to you, what yarn did you use? And you can say, I don't remember, but here, let me look. And I can tell you right now, right? Like, it's such a great free resource for all of us that, yes. We do need to put some time and energy into it, I think, because it gives so much.
For sure.
You know, like, I think that it gives me so much that I should put my projects on there as not as a obligation, but you know, something that I should do. I look at other people's project pages all the time.
Yes.
But I don't have any projects on Ravelry. Like, that just doesn't feel fair to me. I mean, it's not a fair thing, but you know what I mean.
No, I think it's really important. I even have a couple of projects that I have made as they say, like so-and-so's hat for somebody, because I'm trying to teach her what her page should look like, you know, and she's never done it before and I haven't had a chance to walk her through it. But to the other end, I would just say that, you know, when I randomly search through Ravelry and I find somebody's project, and oftentimes I look at a lot of projects that they, you know, the FOs, I love leaving people random comments like, wow, this really made me smile. You have a great photo here. It looks beautiful on you. I like your color choices. It goes so far.
I know. But there are people out there that don't know that there are comments on their projects. I'm like, how did you not know this? You have comments. And they're like, I have comments? Yes, you have comments on your projects. But you are very good about that. It is a gift that you have, because you comment on mine a lot and it always makes my day, right? It's always when you see me put up something new that I finished or whatever, and I do think that that's really nice. I like to go back and see what people have commented on my projects, unless they're saying, I think that there's a problem with your pattern.
Yeah.
Which is what I have going on right now from a lady.
Thank you so much for having me, for asking. Me.
And then when are you coming? Because we got to get together.
No,
okay.
Okay. Yes, for sure.
Well, when you come, you guys can stay here. No problem. I mean that, you know, you don't know. I have a whole upstairs that's empty. Whole upstairs. And you have your own bathrooms and bedrooms and you can come and go as you please. So you're always welcome. Everybody, you're all welcome. I'm just kidding. As long as I'm welcome to any of your vacation homes around the world, you are welcome to come to Minneapolis in the winter. Stay at my house. We keep it warm, I promise. All right. Thank you, Suzanne. We'll say goodbye. I could just chat with you all day.
All right.
Talk to you all later. Bye.
Bye.